All right, here we go, guys. The wait is over. ODM Alfredino going up against XMT Felkon, and the map is Oakenhammer. So, let's get to it. No, Bloodthirsters are the greater daemons of Khorne. So if they do it specific to lore, Slaanesh will have their greater daemons, which are like sartorial, masters of change or something they're called. And then you have blood thirsters, which are going to be Khorne. And then Nurgle has the great unclean ones, and Slaanesh has the things that look really sexual and awkward. Anyways, I can't remember their name. But let's get to the battle right now. And start with our blue player. So Alfredino bringing the High Elves, and he's going to have 3 Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. He's also going to have 3 regular White Lines of Trace, and then the Pure Main Company, who have the Guardian trait and Armor Sundering. Also going to be looking at a single unit of Dragon Princes and a single Illyrian Reaver. 2 High Elf Spearmen up front. And then we have 2 Nobles. Looks like these guys are going to just be naked on horses. Okay, they have armor on, but you know what I mean. Alariel the Radiant is going to be here with the Star of Averlorn, Arcane Conduit, Tempest, Earthblood, and Lifebloom. So, just got a little bit of everything. I mean, Tempest to deal with Pterodon Riders if they're there. Got the Nobles to help counter against Dinos, and the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, based on this army so far, should have a field day against Bastillodons with Solar Engines, who they do outrange rather significantly. Now, Lizardman Army, 2 Solar Engines, as I just mentioned. We're going to see Saurus Warriors with shields, as well as the Legion of Shakwa ROR Saurus Spears. 2 Skink Cohort, 1 with jabs, 1 without. A single Pterodon, 1, 2, 3, 4 units of Chameleon Skinks. And then we do have Mazda Mundi. Mazda Mundi is going to be bringing his Ancient Stegodon Slack. He's also going to be bringing with him Ruination of Cities, Banishment, Shield of the Old Ones, Apotheosis, Harmonic Convergence, Net of a Mintok to pin those units in place, and of course the Sunburst Standard of Hexwaddle for that defense and missile resistance buff. Alright, and here we are. Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers look like they're getting ready to open fire immediately, and they are targeting Mazda Mundi. Apotheosis already going down on top of him, and an interesting choice. I would definitely target the Solar Engines as, yeah, I mean, get the artillery dominance as quickly as you can, right? There they go, switching targets, and now White Lines of Trace and the High Elves are pushing forward. I don't know why they're pushing forward so aggressively, personally. I think they would be okay just kind of sitting back, letting the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower assert its dominance for a minute. But, time will tell, and we'll see how this goes. It looks like Dragon Prince is coming out for a big charge. Just getting those Illyrian Reavers, and they're not going to get a big charge because it's Temple Guard. But the Temple Guard are not braced. I'm going to knock them back a bit and then turn around and should be able to escape without taking too much damage. Oh, I lied. I was looking at the Noble's health. That Illyrian Reaver just absolutely got smashed by Temple Guard. Ruination of Cities going down. Doing a little bit of friendly fire, but also doing some good damage to the White Lines of Trace and the Dragon Princes. Earthblood going down on top of them right now. Chameleon Skink shooting him in the back. Alright, got the Nobles coming into the back line, getting down on top of the Bastillon with the Solar Engine, and bada bing, bada boom, they're going to be able to eliminate it very quickly. Now the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers should be switching up their focus fire on top of the other Bastillodon or Mazda Mundi at this point. We will see what they decide to do. Over here, we do have a Banishment getting cast down. Going to be hitting the Spearmen for the High Elves, and it's actually doing quite a lot of damage. Terror going to be kicking in pretty quickly there, and those High Elf Spearmen are running for it. White Lines of Trace also getting Terror routed at the moment. Bastillodon with Solar Engine is running away, and I mean, I think the Nobles are losing an opportunity to go chase it down and just eliminate it for good, or at least use the Illyrian Reavers to go chase it off the map. But right now, it looks like the Nobles are just committing to these big engagements in the center And we'll see if it pays off for him or not. Right now, the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is continuing to fire unimpeded, but it does look like the Lizardmen are pushing hard on the High Elf left flank and may be able to shut him down in just a moment here. Over here, Net of a Mintok hitting down the Dragon Prince is going to see an Earthblood going down on top of them. There goes the Harmonic Convergence. One of the nobles coming out to fight this solar engine, taking a shot to the face before being able to close the gap. Over here, Star of Avalorn going down, hitting the Pyrmane Company. The Dragon Princes and Alariel the Radiant going to be removing herself from that combat for right now. Over here, going to see one Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower kind of getting, shut down by Skink Cohort. We have Spearmen diving in to prevent them from doing it, shutting them down completely. And other Spearmen coming over here to stop the Chameleon Skinks from doing the same. Earthblood is not going to hit the Dragon Princess, which is very painful. It just, pretty much hit nothing. Over here, going to see that Mazdamundi's taking a ton of damage, though. The Noble back here has been able to eliminate this solar engine. And then the other Noble is attacking that solar engine and should be winning that combat too, but Chameleon Skinks are shooting him in the back, making it a bit more complicated than he would like, I'm sure. Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower continuing to fire away, but only one of them isn't being threatened right now. But it looks like the High Elves may be able to use their cav in the backlines here, the Dragon Princes, to shut down these Chameleon Skinks and allow the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers to continue firing unimpeded. But the Lizardmen are closing in with their remaining infantry, and unless the High Elves can turn around quickly, they're not going to be able to intercept the Legion of Shakwa and the Saurus Warriors before they get on top of the Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers. Right now, one of the nobles getting routed because those Chameleon Skinks shooting him in the back proved to be too tough. And we'll see if he can survive or if those Chameleon Skinks will rout him off the map. Over here, Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower is continuing to shoot at Mazdamundi. But it looks like they may be firing no more in just a moment. Noble is not routing now. He just needs to be moving instead of getting shot in the back. He's going to rout again probably in just a moment. There he goes. He's starting to run. All right, Mazdamundi getting into the back lines now. Balance of power is starting to get a lot more even. And Mazdamundi's going to continue throwing down apotheoses on top of himself. So, High Elves need to get something working quick here, but now that they've lost their Eagle Claw Bolt Throwers, I mean, they've lost their main tool to kill Mazdamundi. One of the nobles is very weak right now, and looking like he may not last much longer. The other one down at half health now, and just like, look at that. We're going to be seeing the balance of power going to the Lizardmen now. So this is starting to turn around. Perhaps look pretty bad for Alfredino unless he can get something going quickly. But, I mean, what does he have left? So he still has Noble. One Noble, if it can get healed up, may be saved. And I think that's really going to be the win condition. If he can save this Noble, he can still pull it off to kill Mazdamundi. But otherwise, I think Alfredino's chances just went down the drains. There goes an Earthblood. The Noble's trying to get out of there. He's getting terror routed now. Dragon Princes coming into combat. Star of Avalorn hitting Alariel and the Noble, but now the Noble has routed out of it. There goes another terror rout. And Alariel the Radiant is now stuck in the Star of Avalorn all by her lonesome. Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower has been remounted, but Skink Cohort with Javelins are right behind it. And man, what a painful loss. Alfredino was looking really strong there initially, and then I just think a couple of misplays there in terms of not keeping the Eagle Claw bolt throwers online. Honestly, if he would have kept them online like 30 seconds longer, I think they could have gotten Mazdamudi to rout. But now it's at a stage where it's probably going to be too little too late. I mean, look at that, though. The Noble getting another Earthblood on top of him. This Noble's alive? But she's already used both of her Star of Averlorns. Otherwise, I'd say she might have a chance. She needs to get over there and kill off the Skink cohort with Javelin so the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower can live. I just don't think she's going to be able to. Yeah, there it goes. The Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower has been eliminated, and the chances gone from slim to none. A GG first round going to XMT Felkon. But yeah, I mean, nope, I don't know I did that. Solid across the board. I mean, the Eagle Claw Bolters, look at the value they got. I swear to God, I mean, if they could have kept firing for another 30 seconds, like Mazdamudi was really hurting there for a period of the battle, and the balance of power was really in favor of the High Elves. But then just a couple of key misplays, and that's how easily it is to lose, you know? Especially when you're playing somebody like Felkon. But, I mean, the Nobles, for instance, they were utilized very well for most of the battle, but I think somewhere in the midway mark there, you know, while one of them was killing off this Bastillodon with the Solar Engine, the other one was trying to kill off the other. But I just think, I mean, and obviously, you know, it was harder for the player to see than us, but those Chameleon Skinks were nearby to support the Solar Engine. And I imagine they were stocked at some point, so Alfredino probably wasn't aware of their presence. But just that little factor, Chameleon Skinks able to get that Noble to rout, I think really turned the game around. And then also the other key moment was, you know, the High Elves had just finished successfully defending off an attack against all of their artillery by Chameleon Skinks and Skink cohort. And then he continued chasing them off, but he didn't turn all of those units around to go head off the Temple Guard and Saurus Warriors and the Legion of Shakwa that were pushing up in a second wave. And I think if they would have turned around, you know, quickly and maybe engaged them, bought some time for the Eagle Claw Bolt Thrower to continue firing, I not to beat a dead horse, but I do think that could have gone their way. That was how close the game was. So a great game to both players, and God, so far the battles are not disappointing. Oh wow, and we're here, guys. So let's remove that army blocker and the video capture device. I got distracted with some admin stuff. And look at that. We're loading in now. Starting with our red player, XMT Felkon, on his match point in this best of three. Going to see 1, 2, 3 skeleton warriors. We're also going to have 2 skeleton spearmen. And then for the mobility, we have skeleton horse archers, 3 skeleton horsemen, and a 4th skeleton horse archer. Also going to be looking at 2 Screaming Skull catapults and 2 skeleton chariots. For the leadership of monsters, we have a Chimerian War Sphinx, we have a Lich Priest of Death, Spirit Leech, and then we have Setch of the Imperishable, with the Blessed Blade of Tra and nothing else. Alrighty, now moving over to the Skaven forces brought by our blue player ODM Alfredino. We have Skaven slaves up front, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Clan rats backing him up with some clan rat spears, 3 Skaven slaves. We're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 rat ogres, and then for the monsters and heroes, we have a chieftain who's on top of a bone breaker with Guardian. We have Throth the Unclean, who is going to be riding his Brood Horror with Beast Pack, Creature Killer, and Remoldered. And then, of course, we have a Plague Priest. He's going to have the Scrying Stone, Pestilent Birth, Vermintide, and Pestilent Breath because of his mount. So, oh, can't forget the Hellpit Abomination either. Does a Bonebreaker count as a single entity? I don't believe so, but I'm going to pull it up just in case. Alright, thanks, Jay Phoenix. I didn't think it did. Hey, Jade Phoenix, thanks for answering my question so quick. And so it begins. The Skaven push through the forest. And the Tomb Kings have kind of deployed kitty corner to them, but now they are turning, redressing their lines to face the Skaven threat as the Skaven are pushing themselves into the forest, trying to avoid any incoming fire, but we'll see how it does. The Screaming Skull Catapult is going to be a pain for the Skaven to deal with because it does have that leadership debuff. I know it's not 16, but I always think it's 16. What is it? 8. Yeah. So, going to have take cover coming in from the Screaming Skull Catapult. I thought it did more leadership damage than that, but I guess that's just it. Alright, Skeleton Horsemen are coming out to play, pop off shots into the Skaven Slaves, but as long as it's just into the Skaven Slaves, I'm sure the Skaven won't mind. They brought them here for that precise reason. Ooh, gonna see them getting hit by the Screaming Skull Catapult, getting engaged by Skeleton Horsemen Archers, but in comes Throth the Unclean. He is going to be attacking the Skeleton Horsemen Archers, and he does have that 95 speed, so going to be able to keep up with him easily, maybe kill some models, but right now Skaven just kind of taking it on the chin and focusing on closing the gap between themselves and the Tomb King army. But once they close that gap, whew, we got some Skeleton Chariots to come to grips with. However, there's plenty of Rat Ogres to counter them, so it's really going to come all down to play, and between these two players, both of their micro is quite insane. So I'm excited to see what happens. There's going to be a lot of plays and counter plays coming up here in just a moment. Now, Skeleton Chariots not diving out so far. It looks like they might actually just turn around, a wise decision considering all the Rat Ogres that are pushing up the middle here. Screaming Skull Catapult continuing to fire away. Looks like it may be targeting the Plague Priest. I wasn't sure. Maybe it was targeting the Clan Rats next to it. And here we go. Skaven kind of pushing in on the hard right flank against the two Chimerian War Sphinxes. We have the Hellpit Abomination, Throth the Unclean, with some Rat Ogres over here, all committed in combat. Meanwhile, the Chieftain is sitting on the other side, the left flank, kind of sitting idle for right now. I'm curious to see where he ends up going, but right now he's not doing much of anything. Over here, Rat Ogres are routing, or not routing, they're wavering and getting shot by the Skeleton Horse Archers. We'll see what they decide to do, but so far, things looking pretty even. Neither player having a significant advantage in the balance of power, but we are seeing this Chimerian War Sphinx start to take some serious damage as Throth the Unclean is in there, just popping his creature killer, laying out a ton of damage. Over here, we do see Clan Rats being summoned now, going in on top of the Skeleton Horsemen. Clan Rats and the Plague Monks. Screaming Skull Catapults continuing to fire away though. And you know, the Skaven need to be careful. If they get caught unsupported by infantry because of a bunch of chain routes and terror routes, then it's going to be bad news bears. But right now, look at this. The Chimerian War Sphinx is just crumbling, getting smashed. The Hellpit Abomination gives no fucks whatsoever about this Chimerian War Sphinx, and it is going to be shattered and destroyed. Chimerian War Sphinx going down in dramatic fashion. Now Skaven suddenly have a very big opening that they can start pouring through if they had the units up here to get it. Alfredino really needs to start regrouping these units, and look at that, it's like he heard me. Grabbing all of his units, needs to start recommitting them to combat. Skeleton Chariots are suffering significantly. Right now, the Skeleton Horsemen just aren't laying out the damage that they need to. They're going after Throth the Unclean Throt has propped Remoldered on top of himself, though, to counter the Spirit Leech and all of the arrows. And he's still above half health, and with that 95 speed, if he doesn't want to be getting shot, he doesn't need to be. So we'll see what happens from here. But right now, the Tomb Kings look like they're on their heels, and Felkon seems to be struggling to contain the Skaven Tide. Rat Ogres killing off the Skeleton Chariots. They're just perfectly made to deal with chariots. That mass, that heavy armor piercing power. Tomb King starting to get some pretty serious damage down on a couple of the key Skaven units. You can see right here, Plague Priest going down to half health. But the Hellpit Abomination and Throt are just continuing to regenerate. The Packmaster is still very healthy. He doesn't have regeneration to worry about, but I mean, still with that much health, he's just very, very deadly. And it just seems like the Tomb Kings are running out of tools. Going to see another Clan Rat summon coming down here. That should shut off this Screaming Skull Catapult for good. Other Screaming Skull Catapult about to be overridden. Seeing Throt the Unclean in combat against Settra the Imperishable, but now Throt is getting targeted by all of these Skeleton Horse Archers. And he's going to start pulling out, and Settra is going to begin to chase him. Oh, a Spirit Leech hitting him. Skeleton Chariots pinning him in place. Settra trying to get a rear charge on him, but Rat Ogre's coming in with the Packmaster. Doesn't look like they're going to be able to catch Throt this time, and the balance of power continues to climb further and further in favor of the Skaven. But look at this, Throt wavering. Is he going to be okay? It looks like it, chat. It looks like he will. Shopti summon coming in here, charging into the Rat Ogres, trying to save Settra the Imperishable, but the Packmaster in combat. Oh, look at that, a terror rout caused by Settra. This could be a big moment for the Tomb Kings if they can capitalize on it, but right now the balance of power just so far against them. Still have a full Hellpit Abomination. You still have the Plague Priest. It's looking like the chances are going to be slim. And it looks like Alfredino tying it up and bringing it to a round 3, guys. It looks like we have ourselves some very well-matched players today's tournament. Always happy to see it. So, looking at these armies, I mean, what needs to be said? These guys just really did what they needed to do. And what's interesting about the Skaven armies, you can see it's not like any one unit got a ton of value on its own. You know, it was a team effort. Everybody together pulled this victory out in spite of every hero not paying for itself, and most of the Rat Ogres not paying for itself. And look at that, they still won. So very good game to Alfredino. And looking over here at, you know, the Tomb Kings, that's a lot of kills. I mean, not a lot of value on the kills, but still a lot of kills. Screaming Skull Catapult's doing well. The Skeleton Horse Archer is really the X factor there, but unfortunately for Felkon, he was just completely outmatched in the monster mash department. I mean, you got a Hellpit Abomination with Rat Ogres to support the Chieftain on the Bonebreaker and Throt the Unclean. The Chimerian War Sphinx just doesn't really, you know, hold a candle to it. So a great second battle, and let's see what happens in the tiebreaker. All right, everybody. Here we are, round 3 between ODM Alfredino and XMT Felkon. Winner proceeds further into the winner's bracket to the first semifinal of today. Loser is sent down to the loser bracket. Now, let's remove the blocker, my ugly mug, and get to the battle. Voldak, thank you for the follow, my friend. Let us start with our blue player. So, the Empire, led by ODM Alfredino, is going to have quite a lot of infantry. We're going to see 1, 2, 3 swordsmen, one of which will be the Sigmar Sons, 2 flagellants, giving us 3 unbreakable infantry. We're going to have 5 spearmen. And then we're also going to be seeing 3 halberdiers. Other than that, we have 4 units of huntsmen and a single cab unit being the Knights of the Blazing Sun. Now, up in the air and down on the ground, we have our leadership. Going to be an Amethyst Wizard on foot with Life Leeching and Spirit Leech. And then we do see Boris Todbringer up in the air on top of his Griffin. He's going to be bringing the Midland Runefang, as well as the White Cloak of Ulrich, Crush the Weak, and Blood Roar because of his Griffin mount. Now that rounds out the Empire forces, and that is an interesting build, very infantry heavy, and we'll see how it does. Going over to the Greenskins in red, led by XMT Felkon, who has the balance of power currently in his favor. We're going to see Nasty Skulkers and some Night Goblins over here being the 8-Peak Looney Unbreakable Regiment for now. We are then going to be seeing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 units of Goblins. We've got 2 Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers and 2 Goblin Wolf Rider Archers. And we're also going to be seeing 4, 1, 2, 3, and 4 Orc Boar Boys. Now for the monsters and the leadership, we do have the Arachnarok Queen here, looking wonderful. We're going to be seeing an Orc Shaman down here on foot. He's going to be bringing the Foot of Gork, or is that? Yeah, Foot of Gork and Brain Bursta. Love that spell loadout. And then we do see Grom the Paunch, the Lucky Banner, and Language of the Boys both going to be on top of him. And oh my goodness, I almost missed you there. He has a companion, a Forest Goblin Spider Rider, mounted by a Goblin Big Boss who will be naked. Once again, not literally naked. You know what I mean. That rounds out the Greenskin forces, and 2 interesting builds going up against each other right now. Infernal Wraith, I mean, not quite a million, but fair point. I'm surprised there's no foot archers either in the Greenskin army, honestly. But we will see what happens. I mean, these huntsmen should be adept counter-skirmishers. They outrange the Greenskin range units. They have a bonus versus large on their arrows. So, I guess we'll see what happens. It looks like the first round is going down. Trying to hit some Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers, but they're going to turn around before any damage can really go down on top of them. So, nice dodge by the Greenskins. And now it looks like the Empire is going to be kind of pulling back a little bit, dressing their lines, pivoting towards the angle their opponent is approaching from. And the Huntsmen are going to continue firing in. And honestly, that little chip damage, that's all it takes. Just that in time, and these Huntsmen should be able to win these skirmish engagements. But we'll see what happens. Looks like a Brain Burster going down here, doing a lot of damage to the Huntsmen. And they got to be careful of that. And now looks like they're going to get charged by these Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers and the Wolf Rider Archers, but Knights of the Blazing Sun jiving out to drive off the Greenskin Menace. They should really pull back, though, because now it looks like they're getting charged by Orc Boys. Oh, are they going to be able to get out of there? Wow. What a deft maneuver from the Empire. They're taking some damage, but maybe they'll get out of here. In the back line now, we're seeing that Karl Franz is going straight after the Goblin Archers and the Forest Goblin Spider Rider Archers. Knights of the Blazing Sun down to half health and turning around. They've taken a lot of model casualties as well, so not just going to be their health that's going low. They're losing actual models here. Over here, Orc Boar Boys getting a Spirit Leech on top of them. And Karl Franz is back up in the air. Oh my goodness, Grom the Paunch is really out of position. Really out of position. Knights of the Blazing Sun diving in with fire damage. Karl Franz hitting him too. And if Karl Franz can eliminate Grom the Paunch here, that would change everything. And right now, the Flagellants are up in the front line. Unbreakable Bastion trying to separate some of these Greenskins. The Huntsmen have found themselves in a nice little pocket back here to provide supporting fire. And you can see they're just shredding Orc Boys. Nasty Skulkers aren't doing too well either. I mean, Grom the Paunch, though, is he going to be able to get out of this? It looks like he is. He's a slippery bastard. But the big thing to remember here is that Karl Franz is up in the air on Deathclaw. So Grom the Paunch, if he's in these backlines, is going to have a very hard time trying to escape. And he just doesn't have the infantry support, like having enough infantry really to break through this Empire front line in a quick way. However, as I say that, seeing a lot of Empire units routing, seeing the balance of power going heavily in favor of red, and now we do see all the Forest Goblin, Spider Rider, archers, and everything coming into skirmishing range and doing a lot of damage. And there goes another Brain Burster on top of Halberdiers this time. Spearman attacking Grom the Punch. Karl Franz trying to figure out where he wants to go, I think. Going to see the Huntsman doing a lot of damage to their Ragnarok Queen. Karl Franz is not in combat with her, though. Would definitely like to see that. And the other thing I'd really like to see Karl Franz have done initially, and something that people should never underestimate, is just help get terror routes on a lot of these low-key engagements on the front line. Over here, Foot of Gork is going down. Is it going to land? It's going to do some damage, but for the most part, it was dodged, and I think that's going to be a net loss for the Greenskins on that Foot of Gork, but doesn't matter. Wah has just been popped, and the Empire lines have just been torn to pieces, and Alfredino is going to concede defeat. Oh, yeah, it's Boris, not Karl. My bad. I keep saying Karl. The other lords are just too small. They escape sight. That was a great game. Both players just playing this super, super well. I definitely misremembered. Like, yeah, if it was Karl Franz, I think he could have killed Grom there. But I totally spaced. It wasn't Karl Franz. Boris is a wonderful lord, too. Don't want to get that wrong. But even more so now, like I was saying during the battle, I like to use Karl or whatever flying terror lord you have to just, you know, honestly, him showing up for 1 second in each of those frontline engagements with the goblins, he would have started a terror route, his front lines would have been decisively won, and then they could have turned around to help reinforce the back lines. And especially with a lord like Boris, where he just by nature is really meant for big blob engagements because his debuffs are so powerful. He debuffs leadership, defense, attack, he causes terror, he has regeneration. Like, he is a great lord at breaking up blobs of greenskin units, not necessarily the best at sniping down enemy lords and heroes like Karl Franz. But Felkon is just so damn good, and Alfredino, huge shout out to him. That was beautiful stuff nonstop. So let's go ahead and get to the first semifinal between Felkon and Chosen One.